Hey y'all, Big Tim here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Old School and Bass with Big Tim. Today we're going to show you a little something that you can do in January and February to keep your head in the game, thinking about fishing. And, it needs done anyway. So January, February is a great time to think about doing it. And what I'm talking about is cleaning your rods and reels. Cleaning, lubricating, getting them ready. But the first thing we want to talk about is what we need. Well, obviously we need a reel. Or in my case, several, a couple dozen I probably have to do. You want to have a small screwdriver. I like this jeweler's screwdriver, works well for me, those little tight little spots. That way you can hold your finger on it and spin. A flat bladed screwdriver, which for me, I actually like my Swiss Army knife. I actually have two of them because I use the scissors on this one, and for smaller areas where I need a smaller screwdriver, no, that's a cutting blade. You don't want the cutting blade. When I need a smaller screwdriver, I use this. Then you want the oils. I've been using these Ardent products. We had a cleaning kit at work and I really did like these products. So I started using the Ardent Reel Butter, the Ardent Oil, and the Ardent Reel Grease. Another thing you're going to need are some Q-tips and usually a 10mm socket or wrench. We're using the old screwdriver type. Oh, one other thing you need as far as tools. Us old guys, here's our cheaters. I tell you what, I told you before, I leave the sticker on there because I got a pair of 1.5s and I got a pair of 2.5s. Most of the time I wear the 1.5s if I'm, looking at my phone or reading or whatever else. But anytime I'm doing any kind of work with rods and reels and stuff, these 2.5s, man, they come in handy. They're bringing the action right to your face. So make sure that if you're an old guy like me, you've got a good pair of cheaters. Okay, as you can see, we got a couple reels that we're going to do here today. These are my old favorites. There was one thing I forgot to tell you that you needed, a little wet rag. And what I like to do is I wet one corner and leave the rest of it dry. And what you want to do here is take and clean as much of the grime as you can get off of your equipment. Sometimes you might need a little something to get in those smaller places. Okay, so we've cleaned a bunch of this off, but not everything. One of the most important things that you want to clean is the line guide. People don't think about that very often. That's where your Q-tips come in handy. And you try to get that as clean as you can get in and out of there, because that grime will build up right there and that'll do damage to your line. There, look what come out of there. Now, you may not have to disassemble everything. You can basically get by a lot of times just by cleaning and lubricating your reels. So that's probably what we're going to do today. And if your reels are really bad, I've got a friend that runs a business called Dominator Reel Tuning. And he's in Central Kentucky. He does a fantastic job of cleaning. A lot of my friends have used him. I'm actually going to probably use him for these couple of reels, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to show you how to take them apart and do a little work. But if you've got some serious work that needs done, Sam at Dominator Reel Tuning is the guy to go to. Like I said, I'm just going to show you how to do some basic general maintenance to get you through. I'm not going to show you how to take your entire reel apart because these schematics right here, not for me. You want something done like that, that's when I send it to Sam down at Dominator. Let him take care of all that stuff. I don't have the patience for those small parts anymore. I used to do that, but yep, not anymore. So anymore, all I do, take these caps off, put a drop of bearing oil in there. Make sure you're using bearing oil, really good bearing oil. Another thing I do is I take the side plate off. Take your Q-tip and clean inside the side plate. Get it really clean. Pull your spool out. If you got line on it, it gets a little cumbersome, as I have here. Clean the shaft of the spool. You'll see a lot of grime on it. Both sides. Then I take a drop of my bearing oil. Put it on one drop on the bearings. There's one here, and there's one in here. Anytime I use the bearing oil, it's one drop. That's all you need. You don't need to squeeze it full. While I've got the spool out, I'll take my rag and clean out around the inside, the raceway, all of that. You can see there's a lot of grime in there. This is the raceway inside the reel. You know, your reel is going all around that. After you've gotten all the grime, and there's a little bit more in here. After you've gotten all the grime out, you can put your spool back in it. Now, like I said, if you got line on there, it makes it a little more cumbersome. We've cleaned our raceways. Put your spool back together. And you should be good. Now, one other thing I like to do is on the worm gear, right in here, take a little bit of grease and put in there. You don't want to put a whole lot because if you put too much in there, it'll just gum up. You'll just have that all over the place. So just a little drop and just kind of work it in. Real, give the reel a good spin. Okay, so just to reiterate, one drop of oil, one drop of oil. Drop of oil on the bearing on this side, a drop of oil on the bearing on this side. A little grease right here at the worm gear. You'll see the little teeth under there. And that will get you through. Anything more than that, that's when you want to start thinking about sending it to somebody and having them do, a super thorough cleaning. Dominators is anywhere from $15 to $25, depending on your reel. So, it's well worth it to ship if you've got a bunch of them because it'll take a lot of time. I know that's basic, but that's what we're showing you here. Just the basics of reel maintenance, just getting you through. You might want to do this at least once a year, maybe even twice a year. But one other thing to consider is rod maintenance. There's a lot of times we overlook our rods. And for this, you want to spend a little bit of time, again, with your Q-tip. You want to take your Q-tip and put it in the very end of the guide and put it in both ways. And if the Q-tip frays at all, you need to replace the guide because it's got a chip in the ceramic and that will cut your line. You need to do that with every guide and clean all that out. Take your wet rag, particularly at the tip, and clean the tip. You want to clean the whole rod, but particularly at the tip, because that's where all that grime builds up. There's two places it's going to build up on the rod: the tip and down at the reel seat. Okay, so you want to make sure that you go through all those guides, run the Q-tip through both ways, and if it snags at all, you need to replace that guide because it will cut your line there. So that's basic rod and reel maintenance. Hope you learned a little bit of something today. Like I said, this is something great to do in January and February to keep you in the game. This kind of needs done anyway, so it's the perfect time to do it. Then again, maybe you might want to do it again in August or something like that when maybe it's too hot to fish and you want to stay in the air conditioning. Perfect time for that. But like I said, this stuff needs done anyway. At the same time, you want to check everything on your rod. Make sure that the reel seats are good. Make sure there's no loose tips. And that's when you can take care of those. Now, one thing I forgot to say is I'm going to put Dominator Reel Service. I'm going to put their contact information down in the description, so make sure you check that out. If you decide you want to use them, you definitely want to contact them because as we get closer to the season, you may have to make an appointment because he's getting jam-packed right now. You know, season's getting ready to start, and everybody tends to wait to the last minute, including me. So keep that in mind, but check them out. So I hope you learned a little something. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you the next time on Old School and Bass at Big Tim.